Good evening. Today is Tuesday, February 25th. It is 7 o'clock. I'm calling this meeting of the Chelmsford Conservation Commission to order. My name's Carl Bischoff. I'm the chair of the commission. We'll be following the published and posted agenda. This meeting is both in person and through Zoom. In the case of the Zoom not working properly, we will continue the meeting in person. And the meeting is being broadcast and recorded by Chelmsford Telemedia and will be available on their website and on YouTube. And we are missing one member of our commission, and we are still down one member on our commission, but we are at 5, so we do have a quorum. And we will ask if there are any citizen concerns to be brought to us, public input concerns relating to issues within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission that are not currently the subject of a pending public hearing or elsewhere on our agenda. Nobody coming forward. Okay, and we'll start with the report of the Planning Commission liaison. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening. Tomorrow we have a pretty full agenda. We only have one project hearing. That's for Palet. We'll probably be finishing that up either tomorrow or the meeting after. We do have quite a few zoning-related discussions. We've got a discussion to start the meeting at 6:30 for Kate's Corner area for that neighborhood zoning. Then we've got public hearings on our town meeting zoning amendments that we're going to be proposing. We'll be talking about the lighting bylaw, the floodplain bylaw and map changes, the general zoning changes that are pretty minor in nature, and then we'll be discussing potential changes to the 129 overlay. And that's pretty much the meeting for tomorrow.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And we will start off regulatory hearings. The first one is a request for determination of applicability. Caroline Parley, Pine Hill Roads Assessors Parcel 91-362-5. Caroline is the applicant, and Chris will read the notice. This is also known as the Coolest Farm, conservation town-owned land. So Chris will read the notice.
Mr. Chair, pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing in Room 204 of the town offices on Tuesday, February 25th, 2025 at 7 p.m. to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Ms. Caroline Parley on behalf of property owner Town of Chelmsford for proposed work within 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at Pine Hill Road, further identified as Assessors Map 91/Block 362/Lot 5. The project entails cultivation and harvesting of grass for hay. Grass will be harvested, mowed 2 to 3 times per year from May to October. Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. David, do you want to start us off on this?
Well, I thought Caroline
Okay.
would present the presentation.
All right. Caroline, if you want to just talk us through describe the pictures that we're seeing.
Okay, so this picture I got from the USDA office in the National Conservation subsect, and the smaller field is my own personal field across from my house, and the bigger field right there is the field, approximately 6 acres that I would be harvesting hay in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 6 acres of haying.
Yep.
The parcel itself is somewhat bigger.
6.8.
6.8.
According to the USDA, it's about 6.8.
So you're planning to mow it 2 to 3 times a year?
Yep, it takes about 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 days to do it, and then I'm probably there for like an hour or 2 every day, except for the last day where I'm there for probably 2.5, 3 hours.
So how often do you plant it? Do you plant?
Like once every 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, very low maintenance.
So you've already planted it?
Yes, under my previous lease with the town manager.
Okay. And so you're not going to have to plant it again for that amount of time?
Yeah.
Knock on
would.
Unless some horrible invasive comes in, but if I keep up with the mowing, and it should be okay.
And that actually leads into, the next question was, do you have experience dealing with invasives beyond
Yes.
just mowing by any chance?
So I have the knowledge of my father, who's been farming for much longer than I have. But I try to do as organic as possible. I always try to go organic before anything else, and that typically includes mowing, brush hogging, pulling things up by hand. But if it's so bad to the point where it needs to be sprayed, I do have the capabilities to do so.
Okay. Because my recollection is there is a pretty bad infestation of Phragmites.
That's
out there.
the brown reeds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't touched those, so I could probably expand and plant there as well.
Certainly, if you want to submit a plan for doing that, I'm actually not sure what the typical treatment or control of the Phragmites is.
They're usually in the wetland, though.
That's why I didn't touch it. I
Oh,
wasn't sure.
it is in the wetlands?
I don't know.
Mostly, Phragmites, I thought.
Well,
usually.
yeah, that's
Usually.
that's true. Well, I'll take a look at it, and but feel free to do some research if you
Okay.
want.
Sounds good.
Because even if it is in the wetlands, I think it'd be better to get it out of there.
Yeah,
just my opinion.
I'm sure simply brush hogging it would knock it down quite a bit as well. If you're not familiar with brush hogging, it's like a giant lawnmower that goes on the back of the tractor, and I just drive through it and it cuts it down pretty short.
Takes no prisoners.
No.
That's all I have.
Okay. Bill, you have any questions?
Yeah. First of all, I'm happy you're doing it, Caroline.
Oh, thank
There's
you.
not too many 20-something-year-old people who are interested in this type of work. And I'm sure the Coulises will be happy to see it farmed again, the hayed. And I know your grandfather and your uncles, if they're around, would be giving you plenty of advice how to do it, whether you
Yeah,
want,
I'm
whether you want to hear it or not. But I'm glad you're doing it. I think as a board, I think we should do anything we can to help you do this with the least amount of cost, work with you, not be any type of adversarial relationship with us. And because there's not too many people who want to take something like this on. There's not a lot of hay there to make it worthwhile. You've already got an investment there in what you did last year, clearing it and pull the rocks out and whatever you did.
Oh, yeah.
And planted it. And you're going to have to lime it, too? Do you have to lime it?
Yeah, that's the USDA is working with me. Hopefully, I can get some funding, but they're suggesting like 2 tons per acre, which is a lot, and it's going to take me probably 5 years to be able to afford that.
Right. This isn't a big money-making operation that you're trying to do here. So, I mean, from where I'm coming from, I want to work with you. I hope the board
I
wants to work
appreciate
with
that.
you. And I know your parents are proud of what you're doing here with the farm. You've got a lot of history. So that's all I had. I just want to work with you. I don't want
Thank you. I
Is that
really
an issue?
appreciate that.
And I know I've talked to John Swenson about that, and he feels the same way. He wants to see it be used as a hayfield. People in town going by will see how things used to be here when we were kids.
Yeah, you get a
We used
nice
to see farming.
you get a nice view from 495 as well.
Right, people are
Yeah.
going to see it, so that's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Mark?
I agree. I'm with this. I'm glad it's getting done. I'd like to see that you can maintain. You're going to have an investment, like you said, of lime over the period of time. So I hope the lease is going to be there for you to become pretty lucrative for you.
I'm hoping so too.
And I think whatever we can do to make it easy for you, I'm on board for that.
Is lucrative a word you use in farming?
Yes. It's like homogenized.
You start with money and then you end up with less or something?
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Caroline, you do other places in Chelmsford already,
Yes,
so you've got
I do.
experience doing it already.
Oh,
So this
yes.
isn't just you're running an $80,000 tractor around not knowing what you're doing.
No, I'm very familiar. And I also, I restored a farm in similar condition in Westford probably 2 years ago now. It hadn't been farmed for several years and it looked very similar. And now it's stunning. I don't know if you've ever been by Lowell Road in Westford, the old Adams farm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
Mm. Oh, nice.
I completely restored that, and now the farm owner is able to get his 61A, and he's able to like hold on to the land without having the taxes be too much.
Cool.
I just
Anything
have
else,
one more
Mark? Yeah.
comment. What do you think you're gonna yield for hay there for the first year or two?
So last year I got probably 100 bales of mulch. It had a lot of like foxtails in it. It had to go right into like gardening and decorative stuff. I'm hoping to probably get 200 bales this year, hopefully.
Okay.
Per cutting?
Total.
Oh, two
but
cuttings, or if you do two.
yeah. Is that about right to you?
Yeah, the first, since it was reseeded, the first cutting will be light. Hopefully, we hope to get around 350, probably, or 400 when the field's.
Yeah, so
Doing good.
not this year, but the next. We'll get a real.
And that, the lime situation's all over the town. We had to take and do it at all our fields too.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit of acidic rain. A couple years ago, we had a lot of rain, unfortunately, that just,
Yep. Set.
yeah.
What is the grass that you planted on there?
It's a Timothy orchard grass mix. It was recommended to me by my fertilizer company out in Western Mass, and then I also had it approved by the USDA before I put it in.
I'm just asking, I don't know, so I'm asking questions.
Oh yeah, it's primarily for horses. I've got one horse who eats up all my money, and I sell to a few other customers in the area.
Good. All right, well, anything we can do to help, let us know.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I'm good.
Chris?
Yeah, I support this request. I mean, really, a couple reasons. One, it's agricultural use, and that's something I support and encourage that in town. Agriculture is really important, and given the town's heritage and everything, so we want to encourage and keep that going as best we can here. And then number two, I mean, I think it's good for the town. I mean, it's good for the town, benefit to the whole town of maintaining, this space, the open space, and keeping the look and feel of the town of Chelmsford being, friendly to agriculture. So I support this.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Peter?
Hi.
Hi.
Agree with everybody.
Oh, wonderful.
I have a question. I have a question though. What is the mower height?
It's adjustable, but we usually cut 2 inches? 3 to 4.
3 to 4. And you said that you don't do it all in one day.
So I cut it all in one day,
Oh, okay.
and then I ted it, which is flipping it over,
Right.
so it dries for a couple of days,
Right.
and then I bale it on the last day.
And when you mow, I should have watched you last summer. Do you mow like back and forth or around in a circle?
Around in a circle.
And does that circle start on the perimeter or in
Yes.
the middle?
On the perimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to mention one thing to you and the commission, and I don't have any particular recommendation here, but I'm reading a field management guide prepared by our regional watershed association, which is called Sudbury Valley Trust. And their focus is 38, 36 towns kind of along 495 that
Yep.
drain into the Concord and Assabet and Sudbury River. And they said a couple of interesting things in their fairly new field management manual that I found interesting. I just wanted to throw them on the table for whatever it's worth.
Yep.
Just 3 things. The first was their take is something that I was thinking about, grassland birds. They were saying that fields of this size are not particularly valuable ecologically because, I don't know, whatever grassland birds are. So I thought that was interesting. The second thing is they were recommending a mower height of 6 inches on the basis that would not run over turtles, snakes, other things that live there. And I don't feel strongly enough to suggest that we put anything like that in the permit, although we could. I don't care. And the other thing they were saying, well, actually two other things. Well, I'll just say one more. They were saying, don't mow the way you described.
Yeah.
Now, you know more because you do this, I don't. But they were saying that when you mow on the outside going to the center, if there are, little critters, again, I don't know what you see out there, maybe you'll tell me you don't see any, but if you mow the way you describe, you're sort of pushing them into the center, and they get mowed. What they were suggesting is, basically either back and forth or some other,
Yeah.
and I just throw that out for what it's worth.
The only problem with doing it inside to out is it crushes the hay, because my mower runs on the side. So if I run the tractor
you
over
can't
the
do that.
hay, then there's spots where the mower can't pick up the grass because it's been crushed and
Yeah.
the stalk's been snapped.
Yeah.
I don't go particularly fast. I'm not running a racetrack. If I see an animal, usually it's field mice. That's usually what I run into out there.
You can take those, please.
Yeah. And you know what? The hawks are right behind me every time I'm I'm in the tractor.
Interesting.
I've got all of the birds in my farm area trained. They hear the tractor turn on and they all come to see what's going on.
Raptors, yeah.
Yeah. And
Now, you see this little book report I was reading doesn't talk about feeding hawks as a benefit, which I consider a benefit.
yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. There is some biology type folks that work on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And put some ideas out there.
I'll definitely look into it and see if there's
I
like
could
a safer
send you
way.
the link.
I would appreciate
You know,
that.
I don't feel personally like I want to dictate how to do this because I don't know how.
I'll take a closer look at that wetland at some point. But just what I've seen it so far, my guess is I don't think there are turtles out there. I don't think it's a particularly sensitive wetland.
I haven't seen any turtles. I saw a milk snake, which was about 3.5 feet long.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Get your attention?
Yeah, because the coolest farm used to be a cow dairy farm, so there's milk snakes there.
Do you like snakes?
I like looking at them.
I'm curious how you react to a snake when you're on a
Catching field
tractor.
mice.
Oh, I stop and I get my stick out and I poke it until it gets out of my way. Yeah.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, Peter. All right, so it sounds like we're in agreement that we're going to move forward on this.
Any public input?
This is this is a public hearing, so if there's any public input on this, anyone wants to jump in? I don't see anybody jumping up.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, I move that we close this hearing.
Okay, motion from Chris to close the hearing.
Second.
Second from, I saw.
Peter.
Peter, we'll go with Peter. And all in favor?
Aye.
Hearing is closed, so now we'll take a motion to approve the,
Mr. Chair, I move to approve this request for project with a -3 determination.
Yes, that's what I recommend as well. But as far as conditions go, the only thing, and I should have done this long before now. I've had it on my mind to check this, and it just everything, came up, and I just got distracted. First thing I want to double check is whether in fact there is an agricultural exemption in the bylaw. If there is an agricultural exemption, then I don't think any conditions are necessary. If there's not an agricultural exemption, then the conditions I would recommend, and it would be for the town to fulfill, not Caroline, is get those wetland flags replaced, and then put a fence delineating the 25-foot no disturb.
and we think it's
Setback.
about 8 or 10 flags in that.
Yes,
Order.
yes, I think it's 9.
Nine, okay.
So again, that's something the town would take care of. The town would take care of putting up the fence, the 25-foot no disturb.
Okay.
So if it doesn't have the agricultural exemption, and again, I apologize, I should have checked that long before now.
So that's more of a condition on us,
Yes,
on the town.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I don't want to see the fence there.
A fence,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I was going to raise that. There was talk about, having reread our regs recently, it does talk about vista or scenic views or something to that effect. So it's a trade-off here.
Well, I think the reason I would recommend that condition is, I think, for consistency. There have been 2 or 3 projects that the commission has approved recently which have required that the 25-foot no disturb be left undisturbed and to put up some sort of permanent demarcation of that. So I think if the commission isn't going to be consistent, I think I need to, when somebody asks me about it, I need to be able to give them an answer. Why did the commission require something in one case where they didn't require it in another case?
With the exemption, depending on how it's worded?
Yeah, the exemption would settle that. But if the exemption isn't there, then I think the commission needs to be able to give a reason, for being inconsistent.
Well, every project's different. We're going to decide things depending on specific projects. So I don't have a problem with having a fence one place and one.
187-4 A references the agricultural use as an exemption.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
The question is the wording.
All right, then let's go with that.
Okay.
What?
What, can you read it,
It wouldn't
Chris?
need a fence if there's an exemption.
It says here, under exemptions and exceptions, 187-4, work performed for normal maintenance or improvement of lands in agricultural use. It just calls it out. So it doesn't say a lot, but it just says it's under exemptions, and it just says that that's, that the permit would not be required for work that's being done as normal maintenance or improvement of lands in agricultural use. So, I think it would be consistent with that to not put any extra restrictions on.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Take a motion.
I think I have a motion out there, right?
You started a motion,
You
but
do,
it
you
Needs a
do,
second,
right,
though.
right.
Yeah.
Did we have
Bill
a second?
seconded.
Second.
What's the ultimate motion gonna look like?
-3 determination to approve.
With no conditions?
No.
I think you could
Stand.
cite the exemption, per the agricultural
Yeah,
exemption.
for the agricultural exemption.
No,
yeah.
no
Yeah.
Can I
conditions.
ask one question before we vote? There's no fees on this, right?
No.
Correct.
That's all waived.
Correct.
Yep. Okay, so with that exemption of the or reference to that bylaw.
Yep.
Okay.
Second?
Second from Mark. So motion from Chris, second from Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, motion's unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you. I really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And I'll be in touch about like a paper release pretty shortly.
Okay,
All right. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
sounds good.
Be nice to see it hayed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next on our agenda is 10 Hildreth Street, and we do have a request from the applicant to continue the hearing to March 11th, our next meeting. So I'll take a motion to continue.
I move to continue.
Motion from Bill,
A second.
second from Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We will continue that to March 11th. Next one up is the 4 Palet Drive. This is continued from, I think it's from the 28th of January, so a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. I think it was continued the last time. So we have Mr. Ferreira from Howard Stein Hudson is here. Good evening.
Good evening to the commission. Apologize for my voice, I'm getting over being sick. But Casey Ferrero with Howard Stein Hudson, back before you again with some slight revisions to 4 Palet Drive. Trying to think, overall, I think the biggest change that you'll see in this package from kind of the conceptual package that we showed you before is the full drainage laid out before you, meeting or exceeding all stormwater standards. Just on that note, I did receive a letter from engineering. I had 2 outstanding comments. One was regarding a 1 foot, what do they call it? A 1 foot differential between the top of the berm and the peak elevation. We do meet that. I'm not sure why that's on the engineering letter. So I'm going to talk to Sheila about that tomorrow. I just received the letter this afternoon, so I'll talk to engineering about that tomorrow. And then the other comment was regarding the method of the analysis for mounding. The type of mounding analysis that she requested is not really consistent with the use here. The method requested requires kind of a decline in infiltration rate over time. We don't really design for a decline in the infiltration rate. We design for a constant infiltration rate over the life of the storm cycle. So I'll discuss that with her as well. I don't really think it's applicable, but so we'll try and get that cleared up. But beyond that, it's a clean letter. All stormwater standards are met. It's just really the question of the mounding analysis, which we're mounding at, I think our mounding analysis showed like 0.13 feet. We have 2 feet total to the bottom of our system, so we have plenty of room there. So either way, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just a matter of clarifying the request. Beyond that, we added in some landscaping to the plan set, as I told you during the conceptual presentation last time we were here.
What sheet is that on, Casey?
That is on sheet. Is that me? I want to say 5. I don't want to lie to you.
That looks like
Yep,
it.
so it is on sheet 5, where we show the 2 maples that I discussed the last time, and what those are really for is the leaf litter. We want to basically provide a couple trees that are going to replace some of the leaf litter that we're taking down as part of the project, but we also don't want to overpack kind of the overstory of growth. We don't want to have plants fighting each other for the sunlight that are going to need it. So we proposed 2 maples, and then what we're proposing is kind of more understory stuff that'll provide the habitat erosion control through their root systems. The cinnamon ferns that we proposed are also good for water quality. Their root systems absorb a lot and filter a lot. We're not using that as part of our analysis or anything. It's just a kind of a net benefit on the use of the cinnamon ferns. And then we have bearberries as well. The bearberries are mostly being proposed as a kind of restabilization. They're a ground cover, kind of low to the ground, and we're using a more of a restabilization of the area that we're disturbing going into that 25-foot just to put in that pipe. So they're not below the pipe where the water is going to be flooding out. They're just around the area of disturbance that where the pipe's going to be installed.
So on this sheet, Casey, where is the bearberry being proposed for?
Right in this area here, just about elevation 100.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I apologize. My voice is going in and out on me here. And then, as part of a request from the planning board, we also provided, as part of the operation and maintenance, some kind of definition on the snow storage. And we didn't really want to dictate where they're allowed to, more so where they're not allowed to. And what we had decided really was that kind of, I guess if you call it Plan South, the bottom side of this plan, where it abuts against the hill down to the Dunshire properties. We don't want any snow storage in there, mostly because that goes down to what's the resource area of wetland.
So again, Casey, sorry to interrupt. So which sheet is that on?
That
The
is in the
snow storage.
supplemental data report. It's not on the site plan. It's part of the operation and maintenance plan.
Oh, I thought I saw designated snow storage areas on the plans.
There is some in the landscape, in the layout materials, but a designated snow storage plan itself is part of the operation and maintenance plan.
Okay.
And that dictates areas that are not allowed for snow storage. So again, that's that bottom side of the parking lot, and then that whole area where the infiltration basin is. We don't want any snow being pushed into there as well. So those will also be demarcated with no snow storage signs. 2 along that bottom side, and then 3 along the infiltration system or the infiltration basin. And then also we're gonna put no snow storage signs along the bottom side of the Castory parking lot, where we're removing all that pavement because we don't want them destroying what we're trying to reestablish, pushing salt and snow down into there. Beyond that, I believe the plans are the exact same as what you have seen. but I am available for any questions or comments that you may have. I can go through a little bit of the drainage if you want, but again, that's been reviewed and everything is agreed to by the engineering department besides those 2 questions that I have to clarify with them tomorrow.
David, do you have questions, comments to start us off?
Sure. So on this sheet, Casey, so aren't these dash lines what are being proposed for the snow storage?
Yeah, so those are 2 areas that we are allocating for snow storage.
Okay.
We have some in the back and some in the front, but we also have a note that says they're allowed to store snow along the curb line of everything for the minor events where the snow is just going to be pushed to the side.
Okay.
So we have some there with a note that says it can be pushed along the curb lines, and then we also have no snow storage signs shown here. If you go to the operation and maintenance plan, which you don't have to go to right now, but we have a full plan in the snow storage section of that operation maintenance plan that's color-coded by areas that you're not allowed to store snow.
So just to clarify, because I think that there are neighbors who have questions about this, that only pertains to the snow storage by the apartment complex.
Correct.
Does
I
not
cannot-
pertain to what the town might do.
I cannot
with snow.
control what the town's going to do
Right,
with their
right.
with
So
their
and I
snow
think
from
that's
the
something
right
we're
of
going to
way.
have to talk about.
That's a good point, David.
Okay. Then just the only other question I had was, I believe that in an email, I don't know if either you or Matt said that you were going to be providing an invasives management plan?
Sorry, yes, that is in the supplemental data report as well.
Oh, okay.
That's provided for the Asiatic bittersweet. That's
Okay.
in the back there.
Okay. I didn't know that's where it was, so I haven't looked at that
Yep,
yet.
it's the it's one of the appendices. I cannot talk tonight, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yes, so the main method that we would like to pursue in that invasive species management plan is a mechanical pull it, dig it, cut it to the best of your ability. Anything that is not available or unable to be pulled or unable to be cut for whatever reason, there is a methodology and timeline laid out for when you can use an herbicide of some sort. But the main method that we want to pursue is the mechanical controls, which again, that's going to be hand pulling and hand digging it.
And that just for the bittersweet?
That's the bittersweet back there, and that's under Appendix G,
Appendix G.
in the supplemental data
Okay.
report.
Thank you.
That was prepared by Maureen Harold of Norse Environmental.
That's all I have.
Okay. Peter?
No questions.
Who are you? Okay, Chris?
I have no question.
Mark?
Nope, I thank you again. I'm happy with this time.
Okay.
Very good.
Bill?
Casey, you need one waiver from us?
We need a waiver for the 25-foot buffer zone, and that's just to install the outlet pipe coming
That's
out of
it,
the
right?
infiltration basin. Correct.
No, I'm good.
And actually, now that I think of it, we need to remove the pavement of the Castoria that's up to the 16-foot. So I guess that 25-foot will need to be expanded. The waiver from the 25-foot will need to be expanded to be over to that side as well.
What are your soils you're gonna put back in there?
What's that?
What are you gonna put back in there for soils?
Soils, we're going to regrade it with what's there underneath that pavement. But we're going to then replant it with a wildflower seed mix. And just, we'll let it establish and then just let it grow naturally.
Okay.
In the area where they're gonna be able to back a truck up from Castori's, that's gonna be what, riprap type stuff? Or?
Yep, so basically what we wanted to allow was, the main reason they added this in the first place was so a truck could turn around the building there. And so we ran our turning template, saw what they actually need for it. We're gonna leave that kind of turning area as like a stone, and that's gonna act in twofold. It's gonna allow them to turn over it without destroying the soil, but also it's gonna act as a filter for stormwater flying off the Castoria parking lot. So there'll be a stone buffer right there, and then the remainder of it, we're gonna regrade it just to a natural kind of grading, and then just plant it, establish it, and let it grow.
I'm good, Carl.
So what's that gonna be, like on the edge there, like a large riprap?
I don't want kind of the larger stones. I'm thinking more not a gravel, not something that's going to compact tightly. but also, not your 8-inch rocks. I'm thinking something kind of in the middle, and I'm going to talk to the contractor about that, see what they recommend. But I'm thinking something maybe in the 4-inch minus range.
My only concern is if they drive off the edge, they're gonna keep on breaking hot top.
Right. That's why we want it there, so they don't just it's kind of an edge protection for that hot top, so it doesn't break off, chip off, and then slowly move down that hill and end up in the wetland.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I'm hearing that you're able to work with the Castori owner. They're working with you to some
This is
extent.
under land court, so they don't really have any rights to it since it's off their property. So this property here is land court. So we did talk to them. They're open to it. They don't have any problems with it. But even if they did, we're on land court. It's our property. We can do it anyway.
Just how do you get in there? I guess you're going to be able to get from.
So on that front, we're going to work with our contractor to see if there is an existing path that he can get a machine in to be able to do the work.
Mhm.
If not, we may have to approach them and ask.
Okay.
But that's going to be something that we're going to have to deal with once we get there.
Okay.
So that'll probably be a condition in the order of conditions is a work sequence.
Sure.
For that work.
All right. So this is a public hearing. We're open to comments from the public if anyone would like to come up.
Hey, Sarita Fernandez, 27 Dunshire Drive. I don't know if it's possible for you to bring up the
Sure.
PDF.
So Saritha has a PowerPoint presentation she'd like to do. Is that
If
okay
that-
with the commission?
That's fine. Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
And if that's not clean, there is a PDF version, so sometimes they go a little funky when you open them.
I think this will work.
So just tried to make it simple, just so it could be clear and try to get through quickly with all just a few concerns that I have with it. So you can go to the next slide. This next section is in regards to the trash and the recycling. One of the things here is there is an issue with it toppling over on the recycling, going into the easement, down into the wetlands. So one of the asks here is, can there be a condition for trash to be kept in the dumpster and the recycling bins and not enter the wetlands, like a condition of the project? That was one of the asks, and if you go into the next picture, it kind of shows right there where the water is in the top, that's the wetland portion, and you can see that there is trash that gets through that area in there. It often falls over.
So is that looking down the easement?
Yeah, it's from the back of my property.
So that's
corner.
looking down toward like 19.
Yep, and if you see that upper picture to the right,
Yeah.
that's the part of the fence. So if you kind of went to the left picture up there, that's the fencing that's right next to the dumpster area, and that's what it looks like behind as it comes through, because it just gets washed through. There's also a swale, which we'll get to, that sends a lot of stuff down there. So that's one of the asks here, is if it's possible to have a condition for that. The next section in here is there's current conditions which are not currently on the drawing plan that they have. There's both swale and curbing that are missing. So one of the asks here is, can they update their drawing to include it? And if you go into the next slide, I can give you just a quick little update here. There's a big thing with drainage from Pallet Drive. From the mid-90s until 2021, there was none. It was removed when they put in the sewer. So the town, when they came in December of 2022, they put in kind of like some riprap and stuff, a swale up there. It's right near where that, you can kind of see it. I'm going to show you real quick. It's right in here. It goes down into the easement to try to help the water flow from the road in one point down. It's not included in their drawing. I think it should be, because you can't really tell where it is in regards to the parking that they're doing. So that's an ask there.
So if I can just interrupt. So I met with Saritha about this issue, and she actually has sent me quite a bit of information. The DPW apparently in the last few years has done a lot of work in that swale. Without a filing. I did speak with Courtney Thompson of Stormwater, and she said, well, it's not shown as wetlands on the GIS. So that's a reasonable excuse for not doing it. But she did, I did suggest that, she's actually on vacation this week, but I did suggest that I get together with DPW to take a closer look at how that swale is functioning, because Saritha, you said that the water
Kinda
puddles
pools,
in your
yeah.
backyard,
Yeah.
where it really should not be doing that. And actually, this is a couple of questions for Casey. So, Casey, off the top of your head, are you able to say anything about like the elevation of that swale? Is it conducive to, water flowing better through it rather than ponding? I haven't heard from any other neighbors that that's happening on their properties, but just may not be that I haven't heard from them.
I know the neighbor to my left of me gets water, and
Okay. Do you have any sense at all of that, Casey?
Based on the grading, and again, this is off our property, but based on the grading that's shown, you have about 101 near the dumpster pad. Back at the backside near her property, you're at about 100.1. So her property is a little bit lower than where our dumpster pad is, but from our dumpster pad down to kind of the bend in the property at the end by the wetland, that's down at 97. So you have 4 feet from our dumpster pad down to the edge where the wetland is, but again, if you go back towards her property, it does go down about a foot. But again, that's
Okay.
off our property, and I can't
Right,
fix it.
right. But that shouldn't, so doing a little bit of dredging maybe then at the back of Saritha's property in the easement might help that?
Dredging Saritha's property would
Yes.
make it worse.
yeah, so.
Because that would go lower.
Yeah, so the problem, if you look at the drawing, the one that I actually submitted for the planning board, I showed the area that they used for their plot plan that they submitted. There is a couple elevations that you can see in there, and there's a good portion of it that's semi-flat. And it actually, over 260 feet, has about a 0.5% grade from over 260 feet towards that 97-foot area.
So I'm a little bit confused. So where's the 100 is where?
I don't have it updated. So the 100, we have, let's just say, 100 by her property,
Okay,
where her property kind of abuts our drive.
yes.
If you move over closer to our building where the dumpster pad is, the swell's at about 101.
So it's going uphill.
It's going uphill.
So that's why it's
towards that.
So
ponding.
this is, well, it ponds behind it, so this is about 101. What he's saying is down here, it's 100.
Right.
Coming back here, it goes down to about 99, and if you look at the plot plan that they submitted with the original package, it's further down in the planning board stuff, there's a couple of sections where they have it on the higher side. I don't have the elevations of the, and like O'Brien, I believe, did the surveying, they didn't include the elevation points of the wetland area. That line would actually tell you more about how it's flowing, but it's from my property to the 97-foot is, I believe, like 300 plus feet. Because each property is about 100 feet wide. So it does have a 0.5% grade. That's a pretty small area, and a good portion of it's flat. So that was something that I was gonna bring up more tomorrow.
But-
So,
but-
can I ask, are we still on Palet here?
So the swale, I'm asking for the
Yeah.
swale to be put into their existing conditions is what I'm focusing on
That's what I'm
here.
trying to understand here.
Yes, I think this is a legitimate issue to discuss. I mean, I don't think it'll take that long discussion. Ultimately, as I say, it's a matter of getting together with DPW and them coming up with a plan to address the problem.
Yeah, and I understand that. Yeah, and I get that.
Right.
But for my
Right.
ask for them is I do not see the swale edge on their drawing. I don't see the current condition because part of
Doesn't
this,
show it to the property line.
the swale actually goes through 4 Palet Drive.
What we have shown is contours to our property line.
If you go to the next.
Just one other quick question, Casey. So, and also the plan shows, I think it's a 24-inch pipe down at the other end of the swale.
Over, yeah.
A culvert, is that functioning or is that clogged as far as you know?
I haven't approached that culvert, I don't know.
Okay. But I think it's still within the easement.
It is within the easement, and then it dumps closer to the well.
Okay, so that's another thing to look at.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't argue that, but my ask for them is, and the reason why is their property abuts up to the corner line. There's a circular portion of it. The swale goes through it. It's not shown on their plot plan. I think it should be, so the ask is there. Just to add to a little bit to the story, in 2023, because there was still water that was coming down from Pallet causing erosion, the town came in and they put small curbing up on there to help with that water, and they added a little bit of loom. So that's the backside of the swale at the corner. That's here. So it comes down in here, and that's what it leads into. So the reason why I'm asking for them to add that condition is there's a parking space that's gonna be going here. It's hard to determine if that parking space is adjacent in front of the swale or what, I don't know. So that was my ask. And thank you, David, for looking at the other stuff. I think it's important. So this is here, and if you go to the next one, this is just a picture of kind of like the pooling of the water that's behind my house that happens during this. This is after the swale's been put in. It continues to come back further. So that was, I think, December. That was before they started parking perpendicular. The next one is in regards to the proposed plantings that they're doing. That's the next section. One of the things here is I'm a little concerned with their plant choices. So if you go to the area here, one of the things in their proposed conditions, which is in that area, go to the next slide. In the supplemental data report, it mentions the removal of 10 trees from the buffer zone. They're planting 2 trees, adding 14 shrubs to replace potential habitat loss, mitigate erosion to the buffer zone, and they're saying they're native and well suited for the wetland buffer zone. So I took a look at that and I was curious. So go to the next one. I started looking at the bearberry bushes. Those are not suggested to be for a wetland buffer. So I was curious if maybe those were put in the wrong location. One of the reasons why I'm asking, I'll just show you again. The water out of the retention pond's coming down here towards these. So I don't know how they're planning on keeping them dry. They like dry soil. So that's why I'm curious why they picked those for there. So that's my question back kind of to them, because if you put something there that's not going to thrive, it's going to die and not do what you want to do, so a little bit concerning. If you go to the next slide, they mentioned in their conditions that they were going to put in 8 shrubs. It looked like they picked 8 cinnamon ferns there, which are kind of, I think they're a great option for the wetland buffer, but is there actually any more shrubbery that they're going to add there? Because I didn't see that. And the next one, red maple, is another fantastic choice. Those are really good. And I did ask if there's any chance to possibly add another one or a couple more. There's that section up near the dumpster where it could be a good shade tree there. The people right now, the residents of Pallet, they like to stand along the edge of my property where there's a lot of shade, but they could do something like that there that would help. The next thing is the invasive management. I started looking pretty heavily into that. And so if you go to the next slide on there, this is more just a clarification of the requirements. If you can see the picture, this came from their supplemental plan. This part in yellow is the part that they're saying they're doing their invasive management. And the thing here, though, that I'm wondering about, the project's going to have more green space than that. Like, shouldn't the invasive management run the entirety of their property as long as they're not impacting something? Like, I'm also not sure if they remove the fence in here, which we'll get to the next slide, but should it encompass more space to be invasive management to check? That's the first part of it. The second part of it is the chemical controls. I get that you have to do chemical controls. It's the same page, it's just the center section. Right. I really wanted to ask if they go to use chemicals, can they ask first from David, to come out and look at it and verify that that's the only option that we have, just to make sure that we're ensuring to protect the wetlands with that and the surrounding areas, right? And lastly, the third one here, at least on this slide, they're giving it as a 3-year maintenance plan. I've been fighting bittersweet in my backyard for going on 10. If you lag at any time, it comes back hard and fierce. So I don't know if there's any possibility with that for a condition to ask for that longer, because it also mentioned in there that I believe it said or whatever the length of the order of condition was, so that's another ask. I think oops. Sorry, I lost track. You go to the next slide. This is in regards to the parking, and this is part of my question in regards to the swale, if you can go to the picture. So the reason why I kind of asked the question about the swale is there's going to be a parking space that's going to be right in that location. I don't know if it's going to be on top of the swale, next to the swale, not near the swale at all. But as you can see, it's really close to the wetland right there. That swale is going directly into the wetlands. And are we okay with allowing a car to park directly there and having all the water of the parking lot, of Pallet, the stuff coming off of 3A, all's coming down, and it's going to be going through that point. We know it's unfiltered, we get it, but you want to add to that by putting a car sitting there that could put oil on the ground and some other stuff that just adds more to it. So that's my question to you, but it's also hard not knowing exactly where the swale is. But, and again, this is kind of like, this curbing goes like this, which is kind of like over here. That's why I think that the swale is more like here. But again, if they could define that, that would be helpful. You can go to the next slide. And then no snow removal plans, we were talking about that today, so if you can go to the next picture. So a couple of things here. The red, as you mentioned, is the area of no snow storage, which is really good. They're putting it around here. They have it up here. One of the areas that they're not mentioning is this yellow section right here. Now, I did talk to the town this week about plowing, because somebody this week, and I don't know if it was an independent contractor, plower of the road or whatever, but when they were plowing, they plowed their recycling bins. By the way, if you're looking for them, they've been in my yard for 2 weeks. They've been just plowed in. They haven't been able to use them. So we talked about it with the town. They said they're gonna go out there and actually look at where the location is and try not to do any damage. We're also in the spring gonna put up a fence there, a hard fence, so it'll be a lot easier for them to see where the line is. But my ask is, I think that this area should be a no snow storage. And tomorrow at the planning board meeting, I'm also gonna be asking, because they're planning on putting the recycling bins here. So should be no storage there either. So that's kind of like a question. It's also directly access to, again, the swale here. My other ask is with the swale, right now there's nothing delineating it on the road. There's no bollards or anything. When they come in and do plowing, they're plowing directly into it. They're doing damage to the top of it. And I wanted to know if possibly some bollards or something could be put on it so that it's visible and they can stop plowing directly into it. Because when you plow over it and create mounds of snow and ice, you can't even get the water through it to be able to melt down, and that will cause other issues up on the road. And I don't know if that was the end of it. Next time we're close. Okay, the fencing. So this one is really, I'm a little bit confused. So a couple things on here, if you go to the next slide. So there is some new fencing that's being added. Unfortunately, didn't put it all in color. But I do see this section here. It looks like they're adding new fence here and around here. So one of the questions I have for the Conservation Board is, it's all, this portion downwards is all within the 100-foot buffer zone. I've heard conversations about 6 inches of clearance underneath the fence to allow wildlife to pass back and forth. I don't see that in either one of these fences. So my question to you is, should it have the 6-inch clearance under it? So that's my first question.
Yes, it should. It should.
And then if you go to the next one, I have one more question, I believe. So this is the second issue. I was looking at revision 5 versus revision 6 because they've handed us a couple different ones. In revision 5, they say that they're going to keep the existing fence here. On this one, there's no mention of what they're doing to the fence. So my ask to Casey is, are you removing it? You keeping it? Because if you're removing it, I have big issues with that. If you're keeping it, there's still discussion, which we'll talk about at the planning board tomorrow. But for you, in regards to removing it, that is the buffer that I kind of highlighted in red. This is the 25-foot buffer zone. That fence is down in this area just beyond the 25-foot. If you remove that, it'd be very easy for people to walk into it, start disturbing it. Kids are kids, right? They're going to go explore. It starts becoming a safety hazard. So I really want to ensure that we do have fencing along this edge to help protect.
Same fence is shown on both of them.
It didn't, but you had a note on the top and that said you're keeping it. This one doesn't say you're keeping it. Okay, so it's good. I like that.
So the existing fence is staying?
We're gonna have more discussions on the planning board tomorrow, but
That's good.
there will be a fence.
Okay, because, yeah, like I said, when I looked at it, it didn't show that, so thank you. I'll update my notes for tomorrow. I have a different presentation for tomorrow night. I think, is this the last slide?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Sarita. Casey, do you want
I can
to
point
address
out-
some of those?
I can point out where the curbing is at. If you go back to my site plan. Go to sheet 4, please. And then go over to the front there. So just by the grading of the way Palet comes down, the low point of Palet is going to be right here where this no parking striping kind of comes along and in contact with the parking spot. So this is the low point of Palet, so that's presumably where the curb cut is. Again, it's not on my survey. I would just assume based on the low point of that road that that's where they would have put the curb cut.
That's town property?
That's town property.
That's not town property.
This area right here is indeed town property.
But the area below that's not town
The
property,
area below it is grass, correct?
with the swale.
Right, with the stone swale that the town put in, but we're not intending on changing that in any way, shape, or form.
So again, I think that that's a discussion we should have with the DPW,
DPW,
and
right.
they're willing to do it.
As far as the invasive species management plan, I am in no professional capability to change it. It is not my expertise in how we can change it or how we can maintain it. I will just say that we are going to propose it as recommended by the environmental scientist that we used. And if she recommends 3 years, then I'll say we're going to continue with our 3 years. If the commission feels in any different way, I'm willing to take the feedback back, but I am in no position to say whether or not that is sufficient or not. I'm not an environmental scientist.
Well, I mean, the commission in the past has put in perpetual condition about invasive should be managed in perpetuity. Now, you need to think a little bit. Maybe it's just the bittersweet should be managed in perpetuity. You can think about that, whether it's appropriate to do the entire
Right, I mean,
property
that can be
for
put
all
in
species.
that can be put in as a condition of your approval,
As a-
yes, a condition of the order of conditions, right?
Right, as a
So-
perpetual condition.
Right, and
So
that's,
that is
if
a
that's the way the
possibility.
commission wants to vote, that's, we'd rather take the approval than fight on that matter.
Point of clarification, we talk about invasives, and we're talking about bittersweet. Are we simply talking about bittersweet? Or are we talking about invasives?
Well,
I mean, because there's a big difference.
well, the invasive management plan that's been submitted only deals with bittersweet.
Bittersweet, correct.
So,
Got it.
so the question is, does the commission want to expand that to include other species? So, maybe it is a
That's what's
topic of
been-
discussion.
That's the main thing that we've seen there, I
True.
think, from what I understood.
Yeah,
Environmental
yeah,
scientist drove out there. I asked her to take a review and see what was impacting the area, and this is what she came back with. I didn't request that she specifically do bittersweet. I request that she review the area and let me know what she thinks needs to be dealt with. And this is what she came back with.
We could be here all night.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make that point. If you use invasives, it's too big a scope. There's too many.
Yeah,
Broad term.
Okay, I see your point. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, that wouldn't be fair to the applicant.
Yeah, we bound it to bittersweet for the.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Because that is, yeah,
it's-
and
yeah.
to the residents' comment, it bounces back with a vengeance.
Right. Well, I think in most scenarios, anyway, the order of conditions is going to refer directly to the invasive species management plan that we've submitted, right? So it'll directly be in tune with our plans.
I mean, it certainly would be nice to cover more than that. I mean, especially where the wetland seed mix is being proposed. That almost certainly is going to grow up into invasive very quickly.
A wetland
So-
seed mix.
Well, yeah, I think, they're natives. The seed mix itself is native, but I think that kind of an environment is very conducive to invasives moving in. But you just have to live with that.
I'm all against invasives, but we can't.
Right.
We can't,
It's a losing battle.
yeah, it's
I agree.
just a battle that you just have to keep fighting the good battle, and,
Yeah, and we also ought to think,
we could be trying to scope this so
Yeah,
big.
I agree.
Never get
I
there.
agree.
yeah, and we might also want to think about what our regs actually say.
Yeah.
Because our regs don't really
Give us
address it much.
a lot of
So
latitude.
there's not really a precedent.
Yeah, up till now, we have put things in conditions, but for the most part, we're strongly encouraging strong invasive management. That's,
Yes.
yeah, that's our,
I think this is a unique situation, too.
right.
You
Again,
can't lose eye that this is putting a
Thank you, Mark.
hardship on the
Yep, yep.
applicant.
Okay, were there other points that you wanted to address, Casey?
I do think that Saritha makes a good point with the bearberry. While it's still 3 feet above the seasonal high groundwater, I think that gives it plenty of separation from the actual hydric soils that make up the wetland. It is within kind of where the infiltration basin is intended to outflow, but I don't think that's going to put an overbearing burden of being too wet on the bearberries, because it's not going to be overflowing on a daily basis. It's going to overflow for that storm event, the pipe goes under the bearberries, so whatever comes out of the pipe isn't going to be affecting the bearberries. It's mostly going to be whatever is actually overtopping that berm. So not the entirety of the storm events, not every day. We can look at whether or not we can change them out, but I think as part of a condition anyway, we have to guarantee the survival of the plants through a growing season anyway.
Did Maureen propose the bearberry?
No.
So
So
could run it by her.
So yeah, and we can do that as well. But I think as part of the conditions go, we have to guarantee the survival of the plants anyway. So if it turns out that they're dying and we need to use something else, we can come back and say,
Okay.
how do you feel about this instead?
Right, but if that's the approach, which I'm fine with, the conditions have to say in I can't say that word,
In
forever.
perpetuity.
I can't say that word.
Which part in
Perpetuity.
perpetuity?
In other words, if this is part of the stormwater design, essentially,
I'm not saying
Then
that,
it has
that
to
it's
be
part
there.
of the stormwater design. It's just in the area of where the
well, all
stormwater
right, fair
outflows.
enough. But my point is, rather than us trying to tell the applicant what's gonna grow there, seems like we simply ought to require the stuff be growing, not just one season.
Well, and that's a standard condition that Casey was referring
Right.
to.
I was just referring to the typical conditions that we see in the order conditions that come out is that we have to, when I go back and I as-built this, or when I go back and I come back to you for to close it out, I have to say whether or not these plants are in good health or not. And if they're not, we'll have to come back to you and say, you know what, how about we trade this out for whatever other species may be recommended.
Yeah, it typically says something like, within 2 years or 3 years, 75% of all the planting shall be fully established and growing. If that's not the case, then a plan for corrective action shall be submitted,
Right.
something like that.
So if it's going to be part of the conditions anyway, we'd like to just move forward with the plan as presented and then come back to you if we have an issue with it.
That sound good to you?
Yes?
Okay. Anything else?
I don't know if you heard me, but we are still proposing the fence. I know that was one of Sarita's concerns. As far as plowing, we're showing the snow storage area at the front, which is, where we want them to put the kind of paved area towards the dumpster. But as far as what's actually going to be pushed towards that wetland and the swale, that's all going to be whatever the town's doing with Palet Drive, and I have zero control over that. I certainly can add that to the no snow storage areas, but I don't think it's going to affect anything in the way the town's going to do anything. So-
Yeah, my suggestion is that we talk with the town first, because it may make sense for this project to be completed first before the town does anything, because we need to see then what the conditions are at that point. Could be if the town goes in there right away and starts mucking around with it, once this project is done, might change things. So that's my initial.
Well, that's for the swale specifically, right? You're talking about
Yes.
the swale.
Well,
Right, I was
that-
just talking about how the snow is going to be plowed off Palet, but
Well,
correct for the swale. That's
that's related. I mean, it's really all related to the runoff from Palet Drive,
right.
which you're being forced to deal with by the town.
I totally agree with that approach, and that let's have this get built and then have the town review that swale and its performance within that easement that it has for the swale. Again, Sarita's not incorrect. The way that the town graded it the first time, I think, sends it towards her property first. But again, that's just what's coming off Palet and then into that easement, and I can't control that in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
So let the town deal with that. However you guys want to handle that, that's,
And maybe there is some way of dealing with the concern about vehicles parking right next to that wetland. Of course, that's been happening for a long time.
Right.
Right,
So the only thing I can say with that is it's the existing condition. We're not expanding the pavement any closer to it.
Yeah.
If you guys do have an issue, I know Conservation Commission has a regulation where no parking of greater than 10 spaces can be within 50 feet. So if you want to kind of impose that, and that's what's going to be considered a parking area, but this is an existing condition. We're just trying to maintain it.
Yeah.
However the commission feels about that,
Yeah,
I'm open to discussion on that.
It probably would be a challenge, but have to talk about it with DPW.
Yeah, I'm not of a mind to be pushing something here that,
Right.
if it was new construction or something new, totally there, but that's not what we're talking about here, so. See nodding on that, yeah.
Is
All
this
right, so-
considered redevelopment? Is this?
Overall, the project is considered a redevelopment, and that's just due to the nature of the removal of the pavement by the Castori parking lot.
Oh, wow, okay, okay. So, David, are we at a point where you've got conditions drafted, or?
No, I don't have them drafted, but don't you want to hear back from Sheila about a couple issues?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll talk to Sheila tomorrow about the engineering.
So I
concerns.
think hearing should be continued pending that. Isn't that?
You know what? I'm tired of this thing going on forever.
You could put in the order of conditions that the engineering must be satisfied. I mean, it's
Okay.
however you guys want to deal with it.
How about a question before we move on?
What's that?
Well, I thought we were done with speakers, but I think we have another speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, can I just point a clarification?
Yeah.
Because we skipped over this. Are there 2 maples and 8 shrubs, or 2 maples and 8 ferns?
Sorry, I put in the ferns as they were shrubs, but I chose the ferns as they were good for the area and then listed them under the shrubs. That's my bad terminology on them, but yeah, so there'll be, I guess, 6 shrubs with 8 ferns and then 2 maples.
Oh, 6 shrubs.
So 6 shrubs that are technical. I think the definition of the shrub is determined by the woody structure of it.
Right.
Yeah.
The cinnamon ferns themselves are just
Ferns.
right? I thought they would go under the shrubs, but that they do not. But they do grow, and I'd like to keep the ferns as I think they're really good for the area, and they're
Yeah.
going to do good for the wetland buffer zone.
Yeah, they're all over town. But, so I'm still confused, Casey. 2 trees, 6 shrubs, and 8 ferns?
Ferns, correct.
Okay.
That's all.
So what are the shrubs? I'm sorry, what are the shrubs?
The shrubs are the bearberries.
Bearberries.
The
Oh, okay.
technical shrubs are the
Oh.
bearberries.
Because I
okay.
think of that as ground cover.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I looked them up. They are a technical shrub
Okay.
by nature, but the ferns are not a shrub by nature. They are.
Okay, I got it.
Thank you, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, excuse me. Michelle Caputo, Starkweather, 19 Dunshire Drive. So I just had a couple of comments. The first is that generally speaking, having walked in the area where, where the mitigation pond thing is and all of that, even during the drought, that ground was still spongy. It's always wet there. It does not dry out. So I just needed to mention that because there seems to be a dissension of opinion of whether or not that dries out enough for some of those shrubs. And there was a question about the culvert, and I'm not sure if you're talking about the little pipe that goes
It's this one right
literally just between 21 and my yard, 19 Dunshire.
Yes.
And I know that John Kelly has been working with Mass Mosquito to get that mitigation ditch cleaned out, and that little pipe that goes, literally that's the only part of that goes through my yard is right underneath my fence. So I do have a picture of it. I'm sorry, I didn't know this was going to be a question, so I didn't bring it, but I have a picture of it. This is my husband standing with. There's
Okay.
15 inches of pipe that's available, and the rest
Okay.
is filled. It's going to decide it's not going to show any pictures soon, so.
Okay, thank you.
It would help if you could email me that.
Oh, okay.
So that's that little pipe. Mass Mosquito allegedly is gonna come in the springtime.
Is that swale paved on the bottom?
No.
I
No
do
pavement
not
on the
know, but I have been told no.
No.
I just don't know. And on the other side, this is actually on 21, that side, on 21, it's very, very full. On the other side, I couldn't get a good picture because it's a lot easier to get into the thing from Patty's driveway than from the back behind my fences. But on my side, it's actually quite a bit deeper. So, like, the water is getting stuck at Patty's yard, going through that tube. I have no idea why there's a tube there, and like they didn't just cut out the fence at the very edge. I wasn't there for that, so I don't know. But there seems to be something over in my backyard, a filled-in septic system or well, or I don't know, there's like a big cement thing cover. And I didn't know if maybe that was related to the wetlands and the whatever, and that's why they did that, or if you were like, yeah, if we took out that little fence, we'd be happier and then it would be less. I personally don't care. So whatever, if you guys said, oh, we could do that, then we would do that. And that's just a general statement of like, there's a little pipe there, but I don't know why they have a pipe there instead of just a continuing water mitigation ditch.
And could you elaborate on who's planning on doing what?
I'm not planning on doing anything.
I know that, but you said.
Oh, mass
The
mosquito?
county people?
Central
Middlesex
Mass.
County Central Mosquito.
Yeah,
whatever
they
call it.
come and clean that stuff out so we don't end up with standing water, I guess. They've done it in the past. And I know John Kelly brought in, her name was Katrina. She was very lovely, and she looked at everything and she said, yep, that definitely looks like that's causing a mosquito issue. In the springtime, we can schedule that. Everybody signed the form that says, yes, you can walk on my property. You have my permission to clean it out. So hopefully my neighbors filled out that form and said, yes, you can walk on my property. But they're supposed to be scheduling at some point, I don't know what the timing is, but sometime in the spring to come and clean that all out again.
Right, but is it cleaning the culvert of the sediment or digging up the drainage swale?
They're supposed to just clean the, like get all the sediment that's in that pipe and clean out that area.
Do
so that
whatever
it
they
can
have
move.
to do to get that water flowing.
Right.
And certainly they're legally authorized to do that, but they
Right.
really should, they could let me know, because, I mean, the town does hold an easement, a
Yep.
drain easement there, and if anything, if by chance anything is done that then conflicts with what the town wants to do, you know, that's.
And except
something-
for having seen Katrina walk, like I walked out and said, I'll walk with you, if you don't mind. I know that John Kelly has been working directly with Katrina.
Okay.
I've beyond just seeing
Well,
it. And seeing the
and I
thing.
know her, so
Yeah,
I can.
so if you
I can
wanted to give her a
contact
call or something, but yeah, it's my understanding they're supposed to come in the spring and clean out all of that area, just so that it flows more freely, in which case, hopefully, this would also clean out, like the water that's getting trapped at Patty's corner of the yard. I mean, it still comes up into my yard, it comes up into everybody's yards, but if it was moving freely, I think it would probably be a lot more effective. Thank you.
Promise will be the last time. So, Sarita Fernandez, 27 Dunshire Drive. I just want to give a little bit of clarification because I heard a couple of comments. I want a paper to show. The parking within Pallet Drive up until they were told by the town to park perpendicular was up in this area here. They were never really parking along this edge here. So that is a newer parking area that they're using. I mean, now they're parking all perpendicular here. The swale that was put in 2022, so that's also new. There was no drainage on that road from 1994 all the way till when they dug a ditch in 2021. So I'm really concerned with something parking here. I just want you to understand that's newer. It's not like it's been there for 60 years. People parking here is really new. And that has direct impact to that wetland. That's all.
And if I could just make a comment, the whole point of the town's stormwater management plan is to eliminate this kind of direct runoff into wetlands. So obviously, it's something to be looked at.
But the legality of parking parallel along that cul-de-sac, it dates back to when the cul-de-sac was constructed. So even though people haven't been actively parking there, you've been allowed to. They didn't park in that manner because they had parking spaces that they've been using, but the legality of using the cul-de-sac in that manner has always been there.
Okay, David, we have, you still have to do order of conditions and get a draft out.
Yes, but, honestly, I think this is a pretty standard order. Nothing is jumping out at me as being really, out of the ordinary or special conditions. Given the discussion about, the concern with parking there right next to the swale, I mean, the commission could put a prohibition against that.
David, is that the town's land, though?
Yes.
So why are we putting it on this applicant.
Well, I mean, is that a hardship for the applicant?
Yeah, we'd have to find another parking space and kind of reinvent the wheel again.
Okay. Sorry.
Can we take a vote and see how the board?
I was just about getting there, I think. So,
So I can certainly have a draft ready for the next meeting if the commission wants to do that, you know.
well,
for
it doesn't
review.
sound like there's a whole lot that's all that special.
Yeah, I
This
think
isn't
this
like
is
some of
basic.
our other,
Right, I think this is basically a standard order of
Is
conditions.
there any special conditions you see?
No, and I've been thinking about it. I don't see anything really special here. I mean, this is, I mean,
Then
it's
let's do
been,
it. So-
it's been a
so the
long
one-
time.
Close the meeting.
yeah, so the one thing that you were gonna still be talking to the engineer, but I think we can trust that that's gonna,
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
that requires a minor revision to the plan, you know, you just go ahead and submit that.
And I still have to get a minor land disturbance permit through them anyway, so they wouldn't sign off on that unless they were satisfied with how it goes.
so I'm okay with that, yeah. So, I know everybody's chomping at the bit here,
Yeah, so I'll move then to close the hearing.
okay?
Second.
Motion from Chris, second from Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, so 10 Hildreth hearing is closed, okay.
For Bailey.
Peel it.
Wishful thinking.
For Bailey.
You don't want to come to more of these on Paley?
For Bailey. Correct. Don't put that in there, for Bailey.
So it'd be a standard order of conditions, no special conditions? that you see?
That's my opinion, unless you know, members or
No.
someone else wants to think of any.
I'll move then that we issue a standard order of conditions with our standard conditions.
Second.
Motion from Chris, second from Bill. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Casey, get
All right,
better.
good night.
Get well. And thank you to the members of the public. A lot of really good comments, a lot of good input, and
A lot of the questions are with the DPW.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's swale.
yeah. So
They have to
that's,
address the swale.
that's high on my list to
And
sit down
and
and
the whole
meet with them.
watershed, the whole watershed is the big,
Yeah, and that's coming up in a March meeting.
yeah. Okay.
I got a question, another question. It came up during this hearing that there was hot top on Castori's land, not the hot top they're ripping up, but additional hot top to the on the left side towards Vinyl Square.
That's town
I
property.
think so.
Right, but that came up during the meeting. Is that something we're looking at to find out where our property is and it's commission land or
Not to my knowledge.
no?
But we should.
I like to have a survey done and find out if it's our land.
We know a surveyor, right?
Yes.
Do you know a quick one?
Yeah, well, we don't know a quick
Bill,
one.
I wandered through the historical area of photos, and I don't know where the property line is actually on the ground,
Yep.
but that area has been
Shifting,
shifting.
drifting, yeah.
Is that the way we explain
Well, I
it?
think,
Shifting?
I think we should look at it, because if they're pulling their hot top out, part of their project, we should look at ours, and if it needs to come out of
Absolutely.
ours.
Right.
Absolutely, but it does require a survey.
Right,
Definitely.
right.
But it brought it to our attention.
Right,
So, yeah,
right.
yeah.
But when you say ours, I don't know that the hot top is ours, the land.
But that's the question.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
hot top is somebody put it on our land.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we own it then?
We knew about that 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Yeah, Dave McLaughlin brought it up.
Oh, okay.
He did?
Yeah, he would have, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
should be looked at.
Next one is the 61 Smith Street, and the applicant has requested that the hearing be continued to March 11th. I'll take a motion to continue 61 Smith Street to March 11th.
So moved, Mr.
So moved
Chairman.
from Chris.
Second.
Second from Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Peter, did you raise your?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Aye.
Yes, thank you.
Still thinking about the hot top.
So,
Figure out if we own pavement or
motion
not.
passes to continue until March 11th for 61 Smith Street. Update on continual business. So, David, you have an update on the Freeman Lake parcel boundary surveys?
Yes, so I am working on marking up the plans with my proposed locations for permanent monumentation. I did get an estimate from the surveyor who's working on this project that the total cost for installation of granite bounds is $275. So let's just say for the sake of
Per
discussion.
bound.
Per bound, yes. So just say, sake of discussion, 10 would be $2,750, which, maybe that's reasonable. I'm not sure that's what the number will be.
Well, you spent the money for the survey.
Yes.
So you need to put some markings out there, you'd be doing it again.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree.
I mean,
So-
you don't need every corner of
No,
every lot.
Right.
but-
Be
Right,
thoughtful
but just-
about where we,
Right.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to be.
Right. Good.
So I will plan to have that proposal for the next meeting.
okay.
So that's where that stands.
Okay, and then additionally, while we're on Freeman Lake, that there was a discussion about the report on the diagnostic management assessment. There was a meeting, I think it was last week, but they are still looking for comments, so we don't want to go into the details on that right now, but it is still open for comments, so if you have comments you want to make on that, you can find the report on the town website, and you can send comments to the stormwater engineer, Courtney Thompson, by this Friday, February 28th. So that's also in the Freeman Lake area. I didn't have anything on Coulis. Do you have anything on Coulis, David?
No.
Okay. I
did approve an event there on May 16th.
Oh, okay.
For
Scout or
Yes,
scouting event? Okay.
scout meeting.
I happen to see they had something on Facebook about putting, remarking the trails again, up there with ribbons, and they were gonna put little tags on the trees.
Okay.
Because some people got lost, not lost, but
They get lost at night?
they weren't sure where the trail was.
Did they get lost at night?
No.
No, wasn't.
So I mean, I am ordering those trail markers. Well, I guess they're not trail markers.
Those are not trail
Okay,
markers.
that's right.
That's actually more for like places like the lake, when we have.
Okay.
But those are the round ones with this
Yeah,
conservation.
that'll just say conservation property.
Okay.
that we
What is
can-
the event that you approved? Just curious.
Just, I guess their annual meeting for this one particular pack, and to do
An overnight
recruitment.
thing? or-
No.
No, it's I think it's gonna be before sunset, 6 to 8, May 16th,
Okay.
so.
Cool, good for them. The open space and rec plan has been submitted to the state.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
awesome, that's great. And we have a MACC conference this Saturday. A couple of us are gonna be
You're
there.
gonna go, well,
I'm gonna
maybe
go,
we
yep.
can meet right there for breakfast.
Yep, sure, yep,
Go
okay.
for the donuts.
All right. And the other thing, I know,
You're not
Peter, you
going.
were looking for an update on the 270 Billerica Road status, and maybe, David, you have some comments on that?
Yes, so the demo has started on that. They due to weather conditions, they haven't gone below ground level. In fact, I just learned today that the contractor doing the demo has demobilized for a month. So once they come back to work on the site, the next step is to demolish the foundation, the existing foundation, and our compliance, a site compliance monitor from Beta will be there. Anytime they're working in soil. All the contaminated soil has been mapped and put on the plans. And then so once the demo has been completed, then there's construction will start. So be the same thing, that the town's compliance monitor will be on site, for a specified time.
Question, did we have, or did you have the pre-construction meeting that was in the permit? Or is that when they start digging below grade?
Well, that's basically the Beta's involvement, for Beta to submit a scope of services, which they have done, and that's been agreed to by the applicant for the demo, and just got a proposal today for the same thing for construction. So I think that's
And just a final footnote, is your understanding with Beta that you know, they're writing little trip reports. You shared one with me. I thought it was
Yes.
pretty good.
Every day they're on site.
But
They'll
is
be
the
submitting.
understanding that if they see something that is not following the RAM plan, they'll give a quick call to you, right? We're not gonna wait for email and reports.
Well, I think they're authorized, well,
Well, they're supposed to be authorized to stop work, but.
yeah, I mean, if, you mean like
let you know if there's
if there's an
something-
argument? You know,
No, no,
if they
no.
want.
Well, if there's an issue, will they let you
Yeah,
know?
well, yeah, they will. I think they'll let me know immediately, but I think maybe your question is,
Well, no,
you
that
know,
was-
how is that resolved? And
Well-
I think if there's a disagreement, you know, I think we need to tell Beta that they're authorized to, you know, require
Right.
what they see as correct.
Yeah, I thought that was in the work scope, or somewhere, but that's the question. But at a minimum, let you know immediately, or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
something.
will certainly verify that.
That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Anything else, David? Anything else to add? We have meeting minutes that we just got. Are you guys
Oh,
okay to?
Carl, can I make two super tiny announcements?
Sure.
Our friend Jane Newhouse has a rodenticide, I call it, session at the Chelmsford Library on March 3rd. Rat poison, you may have noticed she got Lowell to adopt what some other communities have done, which is to ban it. I don't know exactly what that
On,
means.
I think, city-owned land.
On city-owned land, yeah, that's okay. And she's, I don't know anything about it except I saw it online. She's promoting a public meeting on this topic. Chelmsford Library, March 3rd, 6:30. I mention that because one of the interests we're here to protect is habitat, and this sounds to me like in my opinion, something good for the commission to be behind. And then the other thing I just want to mention, David, is I have finally on the telephone chatted with the Girl Scout troop leader that you sent my way. So apparently I will somehow figure out what to say to a bunch of 10-year-old girls about, I'm not even sure what the topic is, but
Thank you, Peter.
Gotta be careful.
if anyone has any suggestions
Something in conservation, all right.
on how to not bore them,
Your assistance is greatly appreciated.
yeah, well, no, I have
Okay.
to come up with a
Well,
game
good.
or something, so.
Good for you.
Any ideas are welcome. Thank you.
Good for you, all right. Are we okay with, I know we got paper copies here. Let's go through these, both of these, January 14th and the 28th.
You all caught up now, Vivian?
Hell no.
This will be an easy one tonight.
To be perfectly blunt.
Easier.
You only have one open that's,
That's right.
this, you're,
You still had a lot to say. I'm still on, page 6?
take a motion on January 14th meeting minutes? When someone's ready.
So moved to approve.
Second.
Motion from Chris, second from Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. January 28th.
Was John Abbott's concerns addressed about Swain Pond? Did we?
David's been chasing it.
Yes, and there will be more to report on that at an upcoming meeting in March.
Okay.
So definitely going to deserve some discussion, for the long
Swain
term.
Pond or Swanson Pond?
Swains,
Swain?
Swains. I
I
think it's
thought it said
Swains.
Swanson.
Swain.
Yes, no? I don't know, whatever.
Swain Road.
No, it says Swanson?
Yeah, but I think when
Yeah,
I look on the
that's-
map,
yeah.
it says Swains, I think.
Because I'd never heard of it, and that's the only reason it stuck out to me. I'm like, where the hell is this one? But I
It's
just
in North
left it
Chelmsford, you're not
because
allowed
that's
up
what
that
it
way.
You're from South
Okay,
Chelmsford.
I'll make that change.
It's next to the Swain landfill. That'll help you.
Take a motion on January 28th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Chris, second from Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting minutes passed. I take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
When do we
Adjourn, okay.
use roll call?
Aye.
Only when it's a Zoom. If one of us is on the Zoom. Meeting is adjourned.